This presentation is quite lengthy. I'm not going to go through each and every slide, but I do recommend that you keep a printout of it as a quick guide, especially when you're learning the system and the ins and outs of when and what data to capture in the system. I would use it as a quick reference for until you get used to the process. But I won't go through each and every slide here today, and I'll share this with you after this webinar today. So what is a lead? A lead is a key contact, a decision maker or an influencer associated with a company that matches our servicing criteria or that displays interest in program services or where you can foresee a potential opportunity. A lead can be derived from various avenues, so cold calls, inbound, outbound calls, conference events or trade shows that we host, through referrals. So they could be internal referrals or cross-sell referrals of that from other divisions, or even within your own division from other branches. It could be from customers that have referred other customers, suppliers or vendors, through marketing, LinkedIn, website inquiries, and so on. So when do we capture a lead in Dynamics CRM? So a lead effectively, let's just say that you're at a conference event and you're having a good chat with a very good, I guess, a respectable customer prospect, and you sort of hit it off, and the customer, or rather the lead, says, please feel free to contact me and have a follow-up conversation next week. We'd like to learn more about what you guys service and what you guys sell. But please follow me up next week. And they hand you over their business card. And that effectively is a lead that needs to be captured in the CRM at that initial phase. So we're saying that even though it's very early days, it's still classified as a lead. Now, why? So it's that initial sign where we can determine there is interest for our services as well. And if it is for an existing customer, we don't expect you to capture those transactional opportunities where there's a long-term opportunity potential. Put that through as a lead, although it's an opportunity. And the reason why we ask that you even put your opportunities for existing customers through leads, and the long-term opportunities of that, is purely because we want to understand why, if it's a transactional customer as well, for that we always deliver one-off sundries to, and all of a sudden there might be an opportunity for a long-term contract. How did that come about? How do we hear of it? Where did that come from? What was the source of that lead or that opportunity? As well as, for instance, if we get a website inquiry, we want to properly qualify that lead, or even if it's a referral, we want to properly qualify that lead to ensure that they are profitable and that they're worth pursuing, and qualify whether it is to be pursued as a qualified lead, or disqualify the lead and stop that from going ahead. We also want to understand why we win, why we lose, and what stage are we winning and losing. What stage are we losing? So, for instance, if we find and we do a report that we're losing after we submit a quote, we can clearly identify the reasons and understand at which point in that sales process we're losing, and learn from that, and effectively understand a bit better about our customers as well and the way that they purchase maintenance services. We also want to understand the key industries that we're working in, who our target markets are as well. And again, we want to properly qualify the leads to ensure that we're not spending all this time and effort on an opportunity that might not be profitable, for instance. So when do we qualify a lead? Now, a lead has a very short cycle in comparison to an opportunity, and the reason being it's effectively a holding pen to determine whether or not we are as a business to proceed with that as an opportunity. And so we expect the life cycle of a lead to be a matter of days, especially if it's from a website or a referral. We expect it to be actioned and responded to in a matter of days. And I'll change the perspective around here, and if it is a website inquiry as an example, what would we expect as an individual? What would we expect if we were to put in our details through a provider's website? What would we expect the turnaround would be in terms of that response from the provider? Will we expect to be, contacted within a matter of days, or hours, or weeks, or months? And it's the same expectation that our customers have on us, is that if they were to put through an inquiry, whether it's through a referral or through a website, they would expect to be actioned, or rather responded to, within a very short time frame, matter of 24 to 48 hours. Otherwise, you can effectively lose that opportunity, and as they say, get it while it's hot, and that effectively is determined as a hot lead. Now, the instance where we qualify a lead, the scenario that I'll use here is if you're at that conference event and you do contact and follow up that lead, the week later or something, and they say, look, actually, I'm not that interested right now, but please do contact me in about 6 to 12 months' time. That effectively is a potential opportunity for future business. So they do require a contact and follow-up. So we effectively want to qualify that as a prospective customer in the system. At the instance where there is a potential opportunity and the customer says, and if it's the same scenario there that I'll use, if it's a conference event and the person says contact and follow up the following week, and you call them up and they say, hey, actually would like you to meet us and meet with our CFO and a few other people to talk about the program business. That is a qualified lead. There is a potential opportunity there for the program business. So you would effectively qualify that as a lead. Although at the very early stages of an opportunity, it's still a qualified lead. When do you disqualify a lead? So if you are containing a list of cold calls as your leads, the cycle there is effectively could effectively be longer. I know that sounds a bit contradictory to what I just mentioned before about the lead cycle being short, but if it is a cold call that you have a listing of individuals to contact after your research and things like that, you feel as though these customers are within your key target market and you've got a listing of contacts to call, they're defined as cold calls, and you can actually upload them as leads in the system to contact at your convenience. And if you do happen to contact those individuals and they say, look, I'm really not interested in your services, I really do not want to be contacted in the future, I may firmly request no future contact, that's when you would disqualify a lead. If the lead shows no interest or long-term benefit to the business, so an example here would be if we received a website inquiry and it was for a very small business, it was not going to be profitable, very low gross margin, too risky, not even worth pursuing. That's when you would disqualify the lead. And leads, especially if they are from the website or from a referral, they're to be actioned within a matter of days, either qualified or disqualified accordingly. Now what you have in front here is the lead to opportunity sales process. So we've actually reviewed the sales process from all the divisions in the program business. We've come up with a 5-staged, simplified and very concise sales process that crosses from lead all the way through to closure of opportunity. Okay, and the first 2 stages reflect the lead. The next 3 reflect the opportunity. And what you'll see here is a summary against each of these stages to help guide you through each of those stages in order to qualify that stage. And this sales process here is applicable for any opportunity type, whether it's a one-off sundry, an expression of interest, request for tender, proposal, or for quotation. And what you notice at the bottom there is a contact and follow-up for each of these stages. So what we expect to be captured throughout the process, throughout that sales process, is all the activities, all the phone calls and emails and meetings and any documents that you have provided through to the customer or the contact, or the lead rather, through that process. And obviously the significant ones, not every single activity, but the significant ones. I'm not going to go through the steps here, but it's there to be reviewed at your convenience. And you'll find that this 5-stage sales process is actually available and it sits above the lead and opportunity form in CRM. Let's go into now some of the steps around creating a lead in CRM. Now, I'm going to really stress on this slide quite a bit and talk about searching for the key accounts and contacts before creating them in the system as a lead and selecting that it is a new prospective lead. So I've run many training sessions in the past, and where I have actually done them on site, I've actually asked some of the users to provide me with some real-life scenarios of leads. And I had one individual provide me with a prospect, and he was very adamant to say, you know, this is a prospect to our division. I said, okay, but do you think it's a prospect to the overarching program business? Do you think they could be a relationship within, you know, another division within the program business? He was very adamant and he said, no, 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 this is a prospect to our division and to the overarching program business. I said, okay, how do you know this? Have you done a search in CRM? So no, I'm very, very certain of it. I know this customer. I'm pretty sure that they are not a customer to any other division. I did convince them to do a search, and true enough, they were a prospect to his division, but a very good and long-term customer of another division. And he was quite embarrassed, but at the same time grateful, because he's been trying to get in contact and identify the key decision maker of that business. And he's been struggling for the past few months, and he said, thanks to CRM, I was able to actually identify the key account manager for that customer, and a few weeks later actually followed him up. And he said that he actually won that opportunity thanks to that existing relationship with the account manager. And he said he wouldn't have done so, and he more than likely would have lost it if he were to go in cold, which he almost did. So he was very grateful that time, and this is what the system is for. It's for leveraging off those relationships, those appointments, those meetings, and collaborating with the other divisions in order to upsell and even cross-sell other services to the existing customer base. So what we say is, when you do create a lead, there is a one field there that allows you to select what type of lead this is. Is this an existing customer? Is this a new lead? And the importance of this field is quite it's quite important to select the right option here to ensure that we're not assuming that they are a prospect and create them as another prospect in the system, but also to prevent and to stop duplicate accounts from being created and contacts being created in the system as well. So what we ask is to do a quick search against the account and respective contact to ensure that they don't already exist in the system, and making, based on what your search result appears and brings up, you then change the lead type accordingly. And I'll show you that as well shortly. So as I mentioned earlier, with the 5 sales stages, you can actually see that on the form, and it's here in red, and there are 5 green stages here, and within that you'll find fields that effectively are to be used as a checklist to guide you through and qualify each of those stages accordingly. And these are more prompts and very generic prompts to guide you through any opportunity type to ensure that you're properly qualifying each of the stages, and it's to be used for your reference. Another benefit of it is that you can, it's used as a checklist, and understand that you have to manage a number of leads and opportunities. It's very hard to keep track of what's happened with those leads and opportunities. So this is to be used for that benefit here, to say, okay, where am I at with this lead? What do I need to do next? Do I need to contact the lead? Do I need to identify the key decision maker, or have I already done so? And tracking the respective activities and notes against those records respectively, so that you have visibility, as well as other people in the business have visibility of what's happening with this customer and this opportunity. You'll find that this sales stages appear and sit at the top of the lead, as well as the opportunity form. So the blue bit here is the opportunity, the lead or opportunity form. I'm not going to go through all of that, but effectively, I'm going to stress again here, there is, so with regards to that lead type selection, the reason why we're stressing so heavily about selecting the right type is because there is some automation in play here when you qualify the lead. So the great thing about the system is that when based on what you select here, when you qualify the lead, it will automatically create the respective records based on what you select. So let's say if I selected that this was a new lead where the account and contact does not exist in the system, it will automatically create the account, contact and opportunity records and cross-populate it for me when I hit that qualify button, and the lead will automatically transition through to an opportunity. So let's say if I did a search and I found the account but I couldn't find the contact, and let's say that the person that I'm entering in the system is actually a new contact for that business because the former contact has now left that customer business, which might be the case. The system will create only the contact and will not create the duplicate account record, as well as it will create the opportunity as well. So it does have a lot of benefit here in ensuring that you are selecting the right lead type. And previously what used to happen was that users would have to create all 4 records separately, whereas now you capture it all in the one lead and it will automatically create the respective forms for you and records for you. And here is a bit of a flow diagram to display how this process works and what happens throughout that process. So as you can see here, once you disqualify a lead, it actually stops at that instance, whereas if you qualify a lead, based on what lead time you select, it will either create or link the account and create or link the contact that the opportunity is associated to. It will also create the respective opportunity record when you qualify the lead.